Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka Day. Today's Shloka is Shloka number 13 of chapter 17. Vidhihinam asrashtanam
Vidihinam asrastanam
mantrahinam adakshinam
Mantrahinam adakshinam
Shraddha virahitam yajnam
Shraddha virahitam yajnam
tamasam parichakshate.
Tamasam parichakshate.
Word for word meaning, translation, and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vidhihinam,
Vidihinam,
without scriptural direction.
without scriptural direction.
Asrishta annam,
Ashrasta annam,
without distribution of prasadam.
without distribution of prasadam.
Mantrahinam,
Mantrahinam,
with no chanting of the Vedic hymns.
with no chanting of the Vedic hymns.
Adakshinam,
Adakshinam,
with no remunerations to the priests.
with no remunerations to the priests.
Shraddha,
Shraddha,
faith.
faith.
Virahitam,
Virahitam,
without.
without.
Yagnyam,
Yajnam,
sacrifice.
sacrifice.
Tamasam,
Tamasam,
in the mode of ignorance.
in the mode of ignorance.
Parichakshate,
Parishakshate,
is to be considered.
is to be considered.
Translation. Any sacrifice
Any sacrifice
performed without regard
performed without regard
for the directions of scripture,
for the directions of scripture,
without distribution of prasadam,
without distribution of prasadam,
spiritual food,
spiritual food,
without chanting of Vedic hymns,
without chanting of Vedic hymns,
and remunerations to the priests,
and remunerations to the priests,
and without faith,
and without faith,
is to be considered in the mode of ignorance.
is to be considered to be in the mode of ignorance.
So we've talked about yagna in the mode of goodness, yagna in the mode of passion, and now yagna in the mode of ignorance. So Prabhupada writes, faith in the mode of darkness or ignorance is actually faithlessness. Sometimes people worship some demigod just to make money and then spend the money for recreation, ignoring the scriptural injunctions. Such ceremonial shows of religiosity are not accepted as genuine. They are all in the mode of darkness. They produce a demoniac mentality and do not benefit human society. From another parampara, at every moment in life, individuals have choices regarding which actions to perform. There are proper actions that are beneficial for society and for us. At the same time, there are inappropriate actions that are harmful for others and us. However, who is to decide what is beneficial and what is harmful? And in case a dispute arises, what is the basis for resolving it? If everyone makes their own decisions, then pandemonium will prevail. So the injunctions of the scriptures serve as guide maps, and wherever a doubt arises, we consult these scriptures for ascertaining the propriety of any action. So, so who gets to say whether what we are practicing is right or wrong, whether it will benefit us or not? For that, you have to go back to Shastra only. So therefore, the Shastra act as guide maps. But because we are not well versed in Shastras, then you have to approach a devotee to consult with them on what's the right thing to do for any given situation. However, those in the mode of ignorance do not have faith in the scriptures. They carry out religious ceremonies, but disregard the ordinances of the scriptures. In India, specific gods and goddesses associated with each festival are worshipped with great pomp and splendor. Often the motive behind the external grandeur of the ceremony, gaudy decorations, dazzling illumination, and blaring music, is to collect contributions from the neighborhood. I'm sure we all understand what is being written here. Further, the Vedic injunction of offering a donation to the priests performing religious ceremony as a mark of gratitude and respect is not followed. Sacrifice in which such injunctions of the scriptures are ignored and a self-determined process is followed due to laziness, indifference, or belligerence is in the mode of ignorance. Such faith is actually a form of faithlessness in God and the scriptures. So here, Krishna is telling us, if we do perform any yagna, how it should be done. One is as per the instructions and directions of scripture. 2, we cannot have any yagna without distribution of prasadam. Because if prasadam is not distributed, that yagna is not complete. So who gives us the best example of distributing of prasadam? The Lord himself in the Govardhan Leela. He insisted that everything be offered to Giriraj Govardhan. And then he insisted first the brahmanas must be fed sumptuously. Then the birds and other animals, and then everything else should be distributed. Even Prabhupada, when he first started ISKCON in the early days in New York, he didn't have money. He didn't have a job. It's not like he was earning. He just went there to preach. He didn't go to the US to, find a job and become wealthy. So many times, if Prabhupada did not have money, he would just purchase apples. And after his class, he himself would cut it and distribute one piece to all those who attended his class. So there was no class that Prabhupada took where prasadam was not distributed. What to speak of distributing apples? Prabhupada used to cook and serve everyone who attended his class. Then he would clean up after them. Much later on, the youngsters decided, yes, we have to help this elderly man with sevas. Up until then, they were attending Prabhupada's class. They were very happily honoring prasadam and leaving without thinking who's actually doing all of this cutting, cooking, serving, cleaning. And how old was Prabhupada at the time? More than 70 years old. So without prasadam, your yagna is not complete. Without prasadam, your class is not complete, except we've not figured out how to distribute prasadam on Zoom. Without chanting of Vedic hymns and remunerations to the priests, which means even if you perform a yagna, the priest who is performing it must be adequately compensated. It is said that if we don't compensate the priest, then he can accept the benefits of the yagna and you will not get it. So that is the risk of not remunerating the priest properly. And without faith, which means ultimately if you do it just because you're being told to do it or because for other reasons, then Prabhupada explains in the purport, this is also an act of faithlessness. You're just doing something on your own with no faith in the scriptures.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.